Thank you so much, Reagan, for that introduction, and thank you for having me tonight. I'm really excited to be here with you all for Parent Academy. I know that you are just as invested in your student as I am in my own student in Duval County. So I am really glad to be able to be here with you and to share more about how you can accelerate your students' growth with Freckle in reading and math. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started. So we're here tonight to talk about supporting students with Freckle reading and math. And again, my name is Amy Reynolds. I am the state consultant for Renaissance for Florida. I am in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I am located. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, though. I've been here since about 2007. I am the wife of a teacher and a Navy veteran, and we have an 11-year-old son. My husband's also a teacher. And with over 16 years in education, really everything education has been my life. So I've been a classroom teacher, a curriculum coach. I was also a principal in Tallahassee, Florida. And now I get to do what I love, which is professional learning. So helping teachers implement solutions that help accelerate student growth and helping people like you, the parents who are also supporting the usage at home. So thank you again for joining me tonight. And I want to get started with our Renaissance mission statement, which is to accelerate learning for all children and adults of all ability levels and ethnic and social backgrounds worldwide. And what sticks out to me in our mission statement is that word all, because just like in Duval County's mission, all students all the time, we don't have a moment to waste in education. And so that's what really sticks out to me in our mission statement. I'm sure something resonates with you as well. I also have our mission statement in Spanish, and it is a beautiful language, which unfortunately I do not speak. So I won't read this aloud, and I'll just allow you to read it on the screen. Okay, so let's talk about our learning outcomes today. So today you'll be able to talk about, after the session, hopefully, what is Freckle and how is it used for practice in reading and math. You'll be able to navigate the student dashboard, so you should be able to have your student log in and navigate the platform with them. Interpret the student report card, so the report card that your child sees, which you can also see, and interpret the teacher report card in case teachers share the report card that they see for your student. And then also identify ways to get Freckle support. Okay, so here's our agenda. What is Freckle? The student experience. What should we be looking at for usage? And then next steps. So let's first start with what is Freckle. And I forgot to share my sound, so I'm going to actually stop sharing and reshare with my sound so that you can hear the video. So what is Freckle? Let's just watch this really short video just to get us all acclimated in the same place for what Freckle is and what it does for our students.
While Freckle's mission is to empower all students, we have always known we can't do that without you, the educator. Educators committed to the responsibility of providing a quality learning experience where each student feels seen and has their needs met. Freckle is a practice tool directly inspired by the work and dedication of educators like you. We enable K-12 teachers to provide differentiated practice in math and ELA that balances fun with learning. Freckle facilitates student engagement by providing work at the just right level and motivates students to reach their full potential. Most importantly, these lessons deliver real-world scenarios, engaging articles, skills practice, and peer-to-peer support in a positive, personalized learning environment. Teachers and administrators can observe student usage and performance at the classroom or school level in real time. Data is a center point so that you can make the most of every instructional minute. Freckle is provenly effective to promote student growth and provide remediation for learning deficits. Create lasting learning moments for each and every one of your students by implementing Freckle into your classroom today. Sign up at freckle.com.
Okay, so now we've talked about and we've just learned about, how Freckle can engage our students, how it supports educators, and how it provides that just right practice. And so that's really the elements that we have for effective practice. So we want a right level challenge. We want it to be at the student's just right level. Okay, working at the top of their ability levels, but not at their frustration level. We also want it to be guided by an instructor. So a lot of what is done in Freckle is guided by an instructor who's making those decisions based on the data and what they know about your student. Students can also practice on their own, but at Renaissance, we really do believe that a qualified educator should be at the center of a lot of the decision making that's done when it comes to student practice. And then the third element is engaging and rewarding. We want students to be engaged in the software. We want them to enjoy the experience and to reap the rewards of that experience. And so along with that, Freckle provides differentiated practice, okay, and student empowerment. So there's two elements to that student empowerment. So with student empowerment, we have that independent adaptive practice. So in adaptive practice mode, students practice ELA skills across different domains right at their own level. And teachers can assign specific domains for adaptive practice, or like we talked about with student empowerment, they can self-select the areas that they want to work in. Okay, so again, teachers can assign that just right practice, but students can say, I really am interested in practicing in this area, or I might want to learn more about financial literacy. So I'm going to practice in that domain. Okay, so students can empower themselves to make those decisions. And again, it's also assignable. So there can be assigned practice by a teacher in either adaptive practice, where they're practicing at their just right level, or targeted practice mode, where the teacher decides if the student should be working on a specific skill or a specific standard. And Freckle practice is also linked to the STAR assessments. So you may be familiar with the STAR assessment that some students, a lot of parents are familiar with it from Accelerated Reader, but STAR is a computer adaptive test that students take, and the data from STAR then comes into Freckle and places students. And so students take STAR, and that eliminates a lot of the need for students to then go into Freckle and take multiple placement tests, okay? So that data's already coming in from STAR and putting them on their pathway. And students will practice at their just right level or at the level that the teacher chose. So at the grade level, a certain standard or a certain skill. And then Freckle's keeping track of the data the whole time. So as the students progress, Freckle's going to adjust and meet the students' needs. Students are struggling, it will provide remediation. If students are continuing to find success, it will keep adapting and moving the student forward. So they're always working at the top of their ability levels. So let's take a look at what the student experience is in Freckle. Here we've got the dashboard for grades 3 through 5, okay? And so you see the student's avatar on the left with Brad Pitt in our screen view right here. So that's the student's avatar. And as students practice, they can earn coins to go to what we call the Piggy Store. And in the Piggy Store, they can enhance their avatar in many different ways. Okay. What I like about the Piggy Store is that the time is limited. So students can't spend tons and tons of time. And I remember my son, especially when he was in the primary grades, he was on a different program and he would spend all his time in the store, buying hats and sunglasses for his avatar and spending a little bit of time practicing. So I really like that in Freckle, it's a limited amount of time that they have to spend in that Piggy Store, and then they get right back to that practice. So the next thing you see on the screen, is that backpack with that number 7. So this is where students go to see the assignments that their teacher has assigned them. Okay, if they have multiple teachers, Freckle will ask them, which teacher are you practicing for? There is a mode called Assignments First mode that teachers can turn off that makes students have to do what's assigned to them before they can do their pathway. Okay, so when students sign in, it will either force them into their backpack, into their assignments, or it will allow them to choose depending on the option the teacher has chosen. A lot of teachers, though, turn on Assignments First mode to make sure that their practice gets done. In the backpack, you can also see the student report card, which I'll show you in a moment when I jump actually into the platform. Okay. You may have also noticed the leaderboard on the right side. So this displays the student or the team that has earned the most coins for that day. So if team mode is enabled, teachers can choose whether team mode is enabled or not. And if it is enabled, students are assigned to a random team and it changes daily, okay? And their current team will be highlighted on the leaderboard. So again, teachers have the option to use teams or not, okay? And at the top of the screen, you see the options for math, English, and backpack. So math will take them to their math pathway, English will take them to their ELA pathway, and then obviously backpack will take them to their backpack. Okay. And again, teachers can turn on that assignments first mode to force them to do what they've been assigned before they can go in their pathway. At the bottom of this dashboard here, you see the weekly goal. So students have a goal setting feature and allows them to set a goal that they can work towards achieving that week. So students have the option to set a goal for answering questions correctly or for meeting minimum accuracy thresholds on a set number of questions. So as the student practices and answer questions, these goals are automatically going to update the goal modal to show the progress towards that goal. So each goal also has a coin reward tied to it. And the more difficult the goal, the more coins you earn. Again, those coins are for the piggy store that they can go to just to enhance their avatar. Maybe they want Brad Pitt to have sunglasses or some other outfit. Just another method to get kids engaged and get them interested in practicing. As adults, we might not think that these coins and avatars, are that special, but I promise you students get pretty excited about being able to change their avatars. So now we've looked at the dashboard that you'll see when your student logs in. Let's take a look at what are the different practice types they have available to them. So again, like I talked about in the beginning, there are two practice types in Freckle, okay? It's the adaptive pathway and the targeted math practice and the targeted ELA practice. So the adaptive pathway is based on the student's data that came over from STAR, okay, place them at their just right level, and they continue to work at their level and advanced levels or go back if they need remediation and extra practice, okay? So it allows students to get practice in skills that they really might be struggling with. Or let's say they're in fourth grade, but in a certain area, let's say fractions, they're still working at an end of second grade level. Well, their adaptive pathway will allow them to fill in those gaps and get those skills that they need in order to then eventually rise to their grade level skills and standards. Okay. The targeted practice is assigned by a teacher and a specific standard or grade or skill has been chosen. So the teachers can assign lessons with skills that students are struggling to learn. They could assign lessons with what they're currently working on in class, so they have extra practice. And they can also assign practice that enriches students who have already mastered those skills so that they're practicing at the top of their ability levels as well. Okay, so those are two options, the adaptive pathway to fill in those gaps and have students work at their just right level, or targeted practice where teachers are assigning something specific. When targeted practice is assigned, it will show up in the student backpack. There's also these printable resources that teachers have available, and I just point these out in case you see these come home for homework. There's adaptive printables, so a teacher could pick a certain area, let's say fractions or number sense, and it would give the teacher a printable for every individual student at whatever level they are in that area. So if they chose fractions, wherever students are in fractions, whatever grade level, whatever area they're currently working on, that would be the printable that was generated. So teachers could send home customized homework for each student's level. Teachers can also generate printables that are a certain skill or a certain standard specifically for students to work on. So let's say they wanted to assign the same practice to all students for homework. They could print that out and generate it in paper copy as well. So those are two options that teachers have for the printables in case you see them come home. And so let's talk about the different areas of practice for math. Okay, so we've got fact practice, number facts, and number basics. So the first is fact practice. And I want you to think of Freckle fact practice as like computerized adaptive flashcards. So teachers can assign fact practice to students to help them achieve that fact mastery that we want to see, that automaticity, students being able to do their math facts pretty fluently and very easily. So teachers can choose which operations they want students to practice, and then Freckle will automatically assign the fact practice to the students at their individual level. And students get immediate feedback after answering the fact practice and are shown the correct solutions if they're answering correctly. Students also earn coins for the correct answers, but they may only practice math facts up to twice a day. Okay. And at the end of the session, students will see an accuracy summary and a total of the coins earned. So that's fact practice. Again, we're looking for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that automaticity with fact practice, 4 plus 4, 5 plus 5, being able to do it quickly and efficiently. The next is number facts. And number facts is built to help students in grades K through 2 master basic addition and subtraction skills. Okay. So number facts is not automatically going to show up on your dashboard if you're a 3rd through 5th grade student. Fact practice would then be selected by a teacher if they thought that that student needed additional help with those early numeracy skills. Okay. Because it's going to be from addition to 5. Okay. Addition to 5 with pictures, and then addition and subtraction within 20. Okay, so if your student needs additional foundational skills practice with number facts, the teacher can add this tile even if the child's in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. And then number basics is also, again, something that traditionally would only be on a K through 2 dashboard, but it can be added for students in older grades that need that help. And number basics is to help students develop foundational math skills and number sense. Okay. So number basics includes number recognition, systematic counting, one-to-one correspondence. Like I see 2 dogs and it corresponds with the number 2. Okay. So again, it's all those foundational math skills. And teachers, if they feel that students in 3rd through 5th grade need them, they can add this in as an option. And then the last one is that focus skills practice. I won't go into the high school courses because that doesn't apply to us. But the focus skills in general, because you might see focus skills with STAR and Freckle. Focus skills are the most critical concepts that students learn at each grade level. And they really provide a roadmap for closing those learning gaps and moving students to grade level mastery. Okay. Especially thinking about the pandemic and those learning gaps we talk about. There's a lot of ground to gain in some cases. And so those focus skills help us know where we can really spend our energy to close the gaps. And those focus skills, we consider those the non-negotiables because they're the underpinnings of future learning. So I really need to get this focus skill, or I might not be able to access those 3 other skills that are part of this standard. Okay, so we provide that focus skills practice specifically by itself because those are the crucial building blocks for future learning. Okay, and in Freckle, students can select focus skills right from their practice screen. And if a student's struggling, their next practice session is going to adapt and incorporate those focus skills prerequisites. So it's going to say, what came before this? And let's include those so the student can work their way towards mastery. So Freckle is going to continuously adapt and provide that remediation and support that students need. And then it's going to celebrate those accomplishments for them. Okay. Freckle will prompt them to practice a new focus skill when they have met that achievement. And students who practice frequently will continue to fill in those learning gaps until they're proficient with all the focus skills for that grade level. Okay, so focus skills is a great area to practice, especially when we've got to make up a lot of learning gains. And we've talked about math, so let's talk about ELA. Okay, we've talked about the different ways that students practice. So either adaptively or targeted. Adaptive at my just right level. Target is being specifically assigned to me, certain skill or grade level. That applies to ELA as well. So we've got these 3 practice types: library, skills practice, and word study. And these are the practice types that are going to come up for all students in 3rd through 5th grade. So let's start with the library. Freckle's ELA library contains over 1,200 articles, ranging in all levels from early reader through grade 12. Okay, and each article and story is available in at least 3 or more reading levels, which is really cool because it means that if students within a class are at different reading levels, teachers can still assign the same story or the same article so that students at different levels can still access it and read it, and we can discuss the content of that article or that story together. So that's a really great feature. Okay. The articles also cover a wide variety of genres and high interest topics. I just did one with my son on different jobs, and you can choose, different jobs that you want to learn about. And then it's going to ask comprehension questions. And teachers also have the option for including writing prompts if they want to. So ELA articles and stories also have a required amount of time that students must spend reading before they'll even get to those comprehension questions. So when you see those, it'll give you a little timer on the bottom. And then we also have the ELA skills practice. So that provides short practices, okay? Short practice with standards aligned to multiple choice questions. So students are provided those shorter passages and questions for more repetition. So we're working on that same skill and you're getting shorter passages, and then we're going to keep moving through comprehension questions. If students demonstrate proficiency in the skill, they'll continue to build and develop that skill by answering increasingly difficult questions about the text at higher grade levels. And again, if students struggle in that skill, Freckle is going to provide that remediation. So students would go into a remediation mode, but they wouldn't even know that they're there. They're just being provided the scaffolded remediation to help them build to mastery. So that's library and skills practice. And then we have word study. So word study is that systematic approach to that phonics, vocabulary, and spelling instruction. It focuses on students' growing knowledge of spelling patterns rather than their ability to memorize words. Sometimes with spelling, we think that it's about memorizing words on the list, when it's really about those spelling patterns, like the aw sound, AU, OW, AW. Those combinations can make that aw sound. That's the spelling pattern. Okay, so word study is going to focus on that rather than the ability to memorize words. And questions vary in complexity. There's 180 levels in word study. Okay, from the lowest levels with sorting and phonological awareness, all the way to Greek and Latin roots, which is a lot of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Greek and Latin roots are heavily covered. So we move through all those levels with word study. And as the students practice, Freckle, again, will continue to adjust and support the students' progress. And just like with math, there are decodables and sight words. Decodables and sight words are those two tiles that are not turned on for students in 3rd through 5th grade, but can be turned on by teachers if students need extra practice in those early literacy skills. So we've got the decodables, which are simple stories with the phonetic spelling patterns and the sight words, and they actually can be matched with word study by a teacher. And then we also have the sight words, which are taken from the Dolch and the Fry sight word list. And those are commonly used words that young children are encouraged to memorize by sight so they can automatically recognize these words in print within 3 seconds without having to use strategies to decode them. So if teachers feel that students need additional practice with decodables and sight words, they can add these tiles to a student's Freckle dashboard. So we have talked a lot about Freckle and about the different practice types, and I'm sure now you are ready for me to show you what it actually looks like in the software. So I'm going to jump right into that. I'm going to do a new share here and get right into the Freckle student dashboard. Okay. So here is the Freckle student dashboard. Now your student will come in directly through Clever, so they won't need to take these steps, but I'm just going to log in here to my demo site. Now this is a demonstration site, so this is not student data. Ben Peters is not a real student. So we're just looking at things from a demonstration site. So when I first logged in, it asked me which teacher I was practicing for. So if your student has multiple teachers, let's say one for reading and one for math, they would choose the same thing. Which teacher are you practicing for? And that matters because of assignments first mode. If the ELA teacher has assignments first mode on and the math teacher doesn't, we don't want students to be prevented from practicing in the subject that they need to. And then if the teacher does have assignments first mode, I won't see a skip here. It will make me go into from my teacher instead of going to my dashboard. Okay, so I'm going to skip that and take us right to that dashboard. Remember from from the PowerPoint, that screenshot, we had Brad Pitt, and now we've got Ben Peters because I logged in as that student. And we've got the coins that this child has, and notice that the store is closed. The store is closed because Ben has 22 assignments in his backpack that he needs to complete. And so we don't want Ben to go shopping before he's actually done some work and some practice, okay? So I can click on my backpack here. And now I'm seeing everything to do. And again, this is a demonstration site. So teachers have been assigning to Ben Peters various different things when they've been learning a Freckle in different training sessions. But this is where you would see all of the different practice that the student has been assigned. You can also go to Done to see if something's been completed and to see the accuracy level. Okay, you can see if it was chosen by the child or chosen by the teacher. You also have the option to choose last 30 days, last 60 days, and last 90 days. And then I can also select the report card. So if you want to see the student where they started, what their level was, where their current level is, if they've grown, the correct answers today, you can ask the student to just log in and show you their report card. So I can see number sense, algebraic thinking, all of the different domains here. Okay. If the child has not started in a certain domain, it will tell you that as well. Teachers can customize these. So let's say financial literacy is not something that the teacher is working on in the first half of the year. They could turn financial literacy off so that students don't go into that area until they're ready. So that is an option for teachers. But here's all of the different domains in the demo site. And then we would also see for focus skills, if they've mastered any focus skills. And then ELA would show you the same thing. Their starting level, what level they're currently on, if they've grown any levels, and any correct answers today. So it looks like Ben's really been spending a lot of his time in math, not a lot of time in ELA in our demo site. I'm going to go on back to the dashboard. Again, I got to that by going to my backpack. So you can have the students open their backpack, and we've got to do, done, and the report card. And then, like I said, we've got this leaderboard here. Okay, so Ben was automatically assigned. The teacher turned on team mode, and Ben was automatically assigned to Cool Rock Stars that day. And that's how his team is doing. Okay. And Ben can also set a weekly goal. So let's do that together. I can set a weekly goal for answering questions or for having high accuracy. Let's do high accuracy. And now you see I've got options. 2 times I want high accuracy, 5 times I want to challenge myself, or 8 times I'm going to challenge myself. And those are tied to those piggy store coins. I think Ben can show accuracy 8 times. I'm going to select that goal, and then we can start that goal. It's going to take me right back to my dashboard. And now I see what my goal is. Okay. If I click practice, it's going to take me right to my practice. So here, if I click practice, it's going to ask me if I want to practice at my own level, math or English, and I can get started. Okay, so this is at my own level. This is the adaptive practice that we talked about. I see what level I'm on. I even see what's suggested for me. Notice it's suggested for me probably because I'm a level 1 here, and number sense is a pretty important domain. If I want to go back here, maybe I don't want to be on my adaptive pathway. Maybe I want to do fact practice. I can select fact practice. Or maybe I want to do focus skills practice. In ELA, I have the option for my skills practice. Remember, those were those shortened skill assignments. So informational text, literature, my language practice. And I can also choose the library for those articles and stories or word study. So let's go back to math. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's go to our adaptive math pathway. And let's take a look at, I'll say, let's do measurement and data analysis. So it's showing me where I was. I've done concept of measurement. Great job. And now I'm ready for comparing objects. Would you describe a giraffe's neck as short or long? If I need audio support, so it gave me my choices. I can show a hint. I can have a video selected. I have a pen tool. And I also have these tools available to me as well as supports when I'm inside Freckle. These counters, I've got number lines, I've got a grid here. So I do have some other tools and resources here. And so then I would select my answer. I would, as long, I would describe a giraffe's neck as long and click submit. That's correct. It is long. So I'm getting instant reinforcement and can click continue. All right, so Janine found some sticks below a tree. Which stick is the thinnest? I'm going to select B, so we see what it's like when you get a wrong answer. Sorry, that's not correct. Try again. And it's giving me that hint. Okay, so now I've got that hint to help me. Let's try again. I'm going to select the wrong answer again. Let's do A. Not correct. Now I'm going to get a video that will help me with this. So I'm going to get an explanation, or I can choose the introduction. And it's also going to show me friends that I might be able to ask in my class who have already mastered this and will be able to help me. So that's another option for students when they're inside Freckle. Okay, so then the lesson would continue on that way. I'm going to exit out of here for the sake of time. And now I'm going to go to an ELA practice just so we can see what that looks like. So let's look at an informational text practice. And it's taking me right here to where I am with text features and key information. So it has right here this short passage. And again, the length of the passages and what students see really depends on their level and where they're practicing in Freckle. Okay, so I can select my answer and submit, and it will tell me if I'm correct or not, and will tell me if I've earned the coins. So it's very easy to use. Here is a video I can play. I can also play an audio description, and I can use the marker. Let's say I want to highlight. I can highlight text so that I can go back to and refer to it. You know, some of these texts can get a little longer for our older students. So those are some great tools that students have available to them. All right, I'm going to leave that practice there. And we're going right back to our dashboard. And I want to point out now it says that I've practiced today for 1 minute. Okay, right over here, 1 minute. So that's another way that you can keep track of how much your student has practiced in Freckle. So that's the basics of Freckle and what it looks like. Okay, so what I recommend is have your student log in, take a look around, and I'm going to suggest some other next steps in a moment. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint here so we can talk about usage and some next steps. All right. So some general recommendations for usage. So this is math. So I've circled here grades 3 through 5. Generally, we recommend about 20 minutes a day. Now, you'll want to talk with your child's teacher to find out what they're doing with Freckle, how they're using it in the classroom, and what their specific expectations are. So just keep in mind that these are general recommendations from Freckle and from Renaissance. So about 20 minutes per day. And where I see that fitting in really at home is supporting maybe if they have not done their 2-fact practice sessions, then they can do that at home, or their homework, do either printable if the teacher sent that home, or just have them practice on their adaptive pathway. Again, that adaptive pathway is going to fill in those gaps for them because they're working at their just right level. So if students are struggling in a certain area, because we all know we don't learn things at the same time, it's going to help fill in those gaps. So if you know that your child is, let's see, in 5th grade, my son's currently working on fractions. So maybe I say to him, you know, tonight, son, you don't have a lot of homework. So I want you to get on adaptive practice and I want you to work in fractions so that you get as close to where you need to be as possible. And we give you that extra practice. So that's one way that you can use Freckle Math at home. And then for ELA, it's really the same recommendation, about 20 minutes a day. Okay, students really should complete about 3 word study sessions weekly. So take a look. If they haven't completed any word study, maybe that's something you have them practice at home. Or for homework, doing an ELA article. Okay, so there are ways that you can support usage at home, but again, definitely want to talk to the teachers and make sure that we're supporting their efforts in the classroom. And so what are some next steps that you can take as a parent? Again, talk with your child's teacher about their expectations for Freckle use, okay? If it's being used for homework, make a plan to help your students complete that work. If it's not required at home, think about how it could fit into your daily homework routine because a few minutes really does go a long way, okay? You can also have your student log in and take a walk through the program with them. They might not be using the program as much as they could be, so maybe you can explore together and get them excited again for practicing with Freckle. Some things you can look at with them, the goals they've set. You know, how are you progressing towards your goal? Let's take a look. How many minutes have you completed today? Do you have assignments in your backpack that are outstanding? How long are they outstanding for? Let's talk about your work habits. And we can also look at the report card with the student and talk about their success at growing levels or areas that they might be struggling and how you can support them. Okay, it can also be a conversation starter with your child's teacher if you're wondering how you can support them as well. I noticed that my child's not growing in this level, so I'm wondering how I can support them at home. Maybe the teacher can assign them a targeted lesson in that area so they can get some additional practice and it'll show up in their backpack. There are a lot of different ways that you can support them at home with Freckle. And the last thing I'm going to show you before we end is what it looks like from the teacher's point of view. Okay, so when the teacher pulls a report card, what can they see? In case you end up seeing this, let's say in a parent conference. So I'm going to share what that looks like. So here I have the math report card. Again, this is a demo site, so no student data here. That's real student data. But this is the report card that the teacher could access for Ben Peters. Okay, so I've chosen this time period. So this year, this whole year. So that's what it's going to show me. The lowest key concept for Ben was number sense. And we saw that was the recommended area when Ben logged in. I can see how Ben has progressed in terms of grade levels in each of these areas as a teacher. I can also see where they're working. So in number sense, I can see this K, that's for kindergarten. So I can see that Ben is working at a kindergarten level with this standard, with algebraic thinking and operations at a first grade level. So at a glance, right from here, I can see how the student's doing. I can see if there are adapted levels passed or not. And we can see Ben here isn't growing. Again, it's a demo site, so lots of teachers practicing as Ben. I'm getting things wrong on purpose. So you would be able to see the adaptive levels passed. Teachers can also see the time spent. So this year, Ben spent 32 minutes. And you can also see the questions correct that Ben is getting in each of the different areas. Now, if the teacher narrows this down a little bit, let's say for the current month, then the teacher will be able to see what standards the students practiced at, okay, at any different grade level, and also the assignments that are completed, okay? So if you want to see a complete report card, with all of these things, teachers can print that, bring this to a parent conference. And this is a great tool for you to get really more in-depth with the students' data in Freckle. And again, there are lots of different options for time periods that teachers can look at differently. So I will conclude there. First, I'll just say thank you so much for spending 45 minutes, almost 45 minutes, listening to me talk about Freckle. Overall, I hope you see that Freckle is a really great program for students to practice and to fill in those gaps and to meet those skill deficits that they might have, or to enrich them if they've already mastered those skills. It also supports what teachers are doing in the classroom so that students make that connection to what I'm learning in class to what I'm practicing when I'm on the computer. And teachers are really at the center of all of that decision making, so we know that great decisions are being made as the student is practicing in Freckle.